Good morning, everybody. Let us begin with the lecture. In the earlier lectures, we have seen about biomembranes, the chemistry and the physical structure and stability of biomembranes. We have seen the different types of proteins that are there, the integral proteins and peripheral proteins. And we have seen how these proteins remain stable in the membrane. What are the different forces which keep the proteins in the membrane stable? Okay, so today we are going to see the actual functioning of the biological membrane. And here we are going to especially concentrate on the transport of small molecules, okay, or solute molecules across the membranes. Okay, essentially we are going to talk about the nutrient transport, okay, not the excretory products, but the nutrient transport across the biological membranes. So this particular term, actually solute transport, pertains to the flow of molecules across the membranes. Okay, essential molecules or the important molecules which are required for the growth and nutrition of organisms. It may be eukaryotic cell or prokaryotic cells. Okay, that is the nutrient transport. Okay, we are going to concentrate more upon that. And why these are essential is that the cells must acquire raw material for two things. One is for the generation of energy. We have already seen the various energy transduction processes. Okay, and the other important reason is the buildup of biomass, that is growth of the cells, is also dependent upon the entry of various types of raw materials in the cell. Okay. Then because the lipid bilayer is a hydrophobic region, okay, non-polar compounds can easily dissolve in the lipid membrane. It can cross the membrane. It doesn't require any assistance, but the polar compounds, especially, that is the water-soluble molecules, they do require certain kind of a mechanism. Either they would require a lot of energy to transfer through the membrane, or they require certain kinds of assisting molecules, okay, which are called as the transporters. Okay, so that these water-soluble ions or water-soluble compounds, polar compounds, can also travel through the membrane and they will be taken up inside the cells. Okay, then there are two types of transport that we should know. One is called as the downhill transport. Downhill actually means that is the transport of ions and molecules from a higher concentration to a lower concentration across the membrane. And that process actually does not require energy. That is because that is an exergonic process. Okay, but the other type of transport, that is against the concentration gradient, that is from low concentration of a particular molecule to its high concentration, that particular transport requires either it will require energy or it will require certain types of transporters which will aid in the movement of those molecules. Okay. Now energy which is required for this transport is either taken from ATP itself or any other energy rich molecule, or it could be because of the movement of another solute molecule which is down the concentration gradient. Okay, so if a particular molecule is present at a high concentration and therefore it is able to easily cross the membrane, then that molecule would take along with it another molecule which is at a low concentration on one side, and that requires energy for its own transport. Okay, that energy is provided by the flow of another molecule which is itself at a high concentration. Okay, so these are the two types of processes which aid in the transport of molecules from low concentration to high concentration, and that would otherwise require energy for the transport. Okay, then there are certain molecules which can diffuse through the membrane by the aid of certain kinds of chemicals, certain kinds of molecules which are called as the ionophores. Okay, and then there are different types of membrane integrated molecules which are called as the channel proteins or carriers or pumps. So we are going to see a brief discussion about that also. Okay, coming to the various mechanisms by which solute molecules are transported across the membranes, we have the first and the foremost very simple type of a process which is called simple diffusion, or it is also called as passive diffusion or passive uptake of molecules. And the meaning here is when I say passive, it means that there is no involvement of any energy, and there is also no involvement of any specialized molecules which will allow the transport of molecules. Okay, so this is called simple diffusion or passive diffusion. And the basic mechanism here is the diffusion, okay, physical diffusion. And this happens when a particular molecule is at a high concentration on one side of the membrane, and it is going to a lower concentration that does not require energy and doesn't also require any other molecule to carry out that particular transfer. Okay. So this the basis of this particular transport phenomenon is probably you might have already studied that when two compartments are containing a particular solute molecules in different concentrations. Okay, suppose we make a solution of a particular molecule, and in one compartment there is a high concentration, and in the other compartment there is a low concentration of that particular molecule, and these two compartments are separated by a permeable membrane, okay, or maybe a semi-permeable membrane. Then that solute molecule will move across the membrane in the other compartment, and that movement is from a high concentration of that molecule to its low concentration. Okay, so that particular phenomenon we call as simple diffusion. Okay, and this particular process of transfer of the molecule will happen until, okay, till the point when the concentrations of the molecule on both the sides of the membrane, that is in both the compartment, becomes exactly equal. Okay, so this particular process is, in a way you can say it is an equilibrium based process. Okay, but this equilibrium is reached when the concentration of both the molecules is same on both sides of the membrane, right? And that is why there is actually a limitation on how long the transfer of the molecules will take place, will be limited by achieving the equal concentration of that molecule on both the sides of the membrane. Okay, and then there is another small factor which is associated, is that if these ions or molecules are themselves charged, okay, then the movement will continue until the potential gradient, okay, potential gradient is completely lost. Okay, so initially you can imagine that, for example, one side of the membrane is more positively charged and the other side is more negatively charged. Okay, then the negatively charged molecules will probably flow to the positively charged molecules, and that movement will continue unless and until the electric charge on both the sides of the membrane is exactly equal. Okay, so there are two things here. One is the potential difference, okay, that is electric potential, and the other is the concentration difference across the membranes. So when the concentration difference becomes zero and the potential difference also becomes zero, till that point the molecules will continue to be transferred from one compartment to the other compartment. I am deliberately using the term transfer. Okay, I'm not using the word transport, because transport, the term transport of molecules or transport of ions will have a little different meaning. Okay, so we are going to see what is the exact meaning of that word transport. But before I tell you the meaning, I'm just trying to use the word transfer or movement of the molecules. Okay, that will be a more appropriate word for our understanding. Okay, now this particular movement of the solutes from one compartment to the other is actually is according to the second law of thermodynamics, and that law tells us that the molecules will assume the greatest randomness, okay, and the lowest energy. So as I said, the potential difference or energy difference should be zero. Till that point, the movement will take place, right? And in other words, what we are achieving here is the increase in the entropy. I think last time somewhere in some of the lectures, I have already told you about this concept of entropy. Okay, the entropy in the world is always increasing. That is to say, the randomness is increasing. Okay, why the randomness is increasing, or how it is increasing? That is when, say, one compartment has a higher concentration of a molecule, the other compartment has a lower concentration of the molecule. So in a way, you are trying to create an order in the system. Okay, one is at a higher order, the other is at a lower order. Okay, so you are maintaining that. Okay, now when you separate the compartments by a permeable membrane, that is, you are allowing the movement of the molecules to take place, then the molecules will always move in such a way that the order is lost. Okay, so higher level, lower level, or higher order, lower order, that order is essentially lost. And then a point will come when the concentration on both the sides of the membrane will become the same, indicating that the randomness has increased. Okay, because of the randomness, the order that was there earlier, high potential and low potential. So there was an order somewhere. That order is lost, and therefore we say that the randomness has increased. And that is to say, we use the word entropy, okay, in thermodynamic language. So we say that the entropy is always tends to increase. Okay, that is the randomness tends to increase. Is that clear to you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who is it
Yes, sir.
that has not understood the concept of randomness, how it is increasing? Okay, just to give you a small example, now we are all at our own houses. Okay, we are listening to the lecture from the comfort of our home. But just imagine that we are in the college, we are in the department or in the classroom. Okay, and when the teacher is engaging the lecture, then all the students will be strictly present inside the classroom, isn't it? So in the class, we have a high concentration of the students, and outside the class, maybe in the corridors or in the garden somewhere in the institute, maybe there is no student at the particular time when the lecture is going on. That is to say, the concentration is very low outside, and concentration of students is high in the inside, that is in the classroom. But the moment the lecture is over, 1 hour is over, and the teacher goes out of the classroom, then what happens? The students all tend to come out of the classroom. They will go into the porch, they will go into the lobby somewhere, or they will go outside the building. Okay, and therefore the concentration in the classroom will be low, and the randomness is increased. That is, the students are coming out of the class, isn't it? So that is what I'm trying to say by saying that the entropy in the world always tends to increase. That is, the randomness tends to increase. Okay, whatever order there was in the classroom few minutes ago when the lecture was going on, that order is completely lost, and the students are becoming more randomized. Okay, I hope you have understood that example. Then these are some of the terms that we should know. The movement which is down the gradient. Okay, down the gradient means what? From the high concentration to the low concentration. It's like moving from the top of a mountain to the bottom of the mountain, to the base of the mountain. Okay, if you are emptying a bottle of water on the top of a mountain, then what will happen? The water will always tend to flow down. Will it go up in the sky? No, water will always tend to flow down the hill, isn't it? So that transfer is called, or that movement is called as downhill transfer, from high potential to low potential, or high concentration to low concentration. Okay, and we also say that it is moving, the movement of the water is along the gradient. Okay, so along the gradient and down the gradient actually mean the same. Downhill transport or downhill movement is actually meaning the same. Okay, and this is in contrast to the other word that is called uphill transport. Okay, again, I should not use the word transport because the meaning of transport is a little different. Okay, so uphill movement is going against the gradient. Okay, that is an uphill task. When I say uphill task, it means it requires some energy. Okay, water will not flow on the top of the mountain from the bottom of the mountain. Okay, just by itself, it will require some energy. Of course, if you are carrying the bottle of water from the lowest point and to the top of the hill or mountain, then you are actually using energy to carry that water, isn't it? On its own, the water will never go up. So that is called uphill task, or against the concentration gradient. Okay, so these terms are also going to be important for you. Okay, then let us see that there are certain molecules which are present, certain proteins which are present in the biological membranes, and these proteins allow very simple kind of diffusion across the membrane. Okay, so whatever transport is happening or whatever transfer of molecules is happening across the membrane in a biological system, that transfer is not happening from any point in the membrane just like that, but there are certain protein molecules involved, and through these protein molecules, which are called as porine molecules, okay, which create which are responsible for creating tiny pores in the membrane, okay, or the pores are lined with the protein, okay, and because these are simple structures, these are called as the pores. And if the structure is a little more complicated, or if it is allowing some very specific kind of a movement of specific kinds of molecules, then that particular protein would be called either as a transporter, it would be a channel, or it could be a carrier, or it could be a pump also. Okay, like we have seen the ATP pump, proton pump, ATPase enzyme. Okay, so if that particular pore is a simple structure which allows for passive diffusion of molecules, then that is called as a porine molecule. Okay, so these porins, for example, are present in the outer membranes of gram-negative bacteria, for example, E. coli. Okay, and they allow the simple passive movement of hydrophilic compounds like sugars, certain amino acids, and also certain ions. Okay, from the outside of the cell to the periplasm, that is across the you can say the cell wall, isn't it? From the cell wall to the cell membrane, that particular place, okay, these molecules are getting transferred, or they are moved across into the periplasm. And the molecules or proteins which are responsible for that passive movement are called as the porine molecules. Okay, porins. Now these porins allow the transfer of very small molecules, say within the size range of 600 to 700 Dalton. Okay, so very small molecules they can pass, and of course they allow only the hydrophilic molecules to enter into the pores. Okay, so hydrophobic molecules are not allowed to enter the pores, and therefore they are excluded from the membrane or from the pores. Now here I have written a couple of examples here, OMP-F and OMP-C of E. coli. So these are porine molecules. Okay, OMP stands for outer membrane protein. As you know that in the E. coli there are two membranes. There is an outer membrane and there is an inner membrane. Okay, gram-negative organisms have that peculiar feature, not the gram-positive organisms. Okay, the space between the outer membrane and the inner membrane is the periplasmic space. So the molecules are transferred from the outer membrane to the inner membrane. Okay, that is in the periplasmic space, and that movement is through what are called as the pores. Okay, then large molecules like vitamin B12, oligosaccharides, okay, or big molecules like iron chelates. Okay, that is, these are certain organic molecules which are coupled to iron, because iron must be transported inside the cell, and that requires more specialized molecules. Okay, so these molecules cannot pass through the pores. Okay, and that is to say they require specific kinds of proteins, more complicated proteins, which are going to be called as transporters. We are going to see them in a short while. Okay, then the other term which I said, that transport. Okay, now this word is very important here, transport across the membrane. That is, if the particular movement of molecules is not by passive diffusion. Okay, if it is not by simple passive diffusion, if the particular molecule requires some assistance of specialized protein molecules in the membrane, then that particular process of movement of the molecules is called as transport. Okay, so just remember that transport is involved when the molecules are not going to be going across the membrane by passive diffusion. Okay, so something more than passive diffusion, something more specialized than the passive diffusion, if that process is happening, then we call it as a transport of molecules across the membrane. Okay, now there are two important things that are happening here. One is that either there is a high degree of specificity. Okay, that is not any and every molecule will pass through the pores. Okay, but only specific molecules will be allowed to pass through the membrane, and the degree of specificity will depend upon the type of molecule. For example, there might be group specificity, or there might be absolute specificity, or there might be stereo specificity. Okay, so stereo specificity can be regarded as the very highest form of the specificity. Okay, optically, if the compound is optically active, then one kind of optically active molecule only will be allowed to be transferred through the particular transporter. Okay, so if that is the thing, if that kind of specificity is required, either a high level of specificity or low level of specificity, that is group specificity, then we have the special type of molecules which are called as transporters. Okay, and another thing which is important about the transporters is either there is a high degree of specificity or there could be a high, you can say, rate of movement. Okay, so these are the molecules which will either allow a higher rate of movement to the membrane, or they will allow a high degree of specificity of movement through the membrane. Okay, so when that is the thing, when that kind of additional you can say mechanism is required, or complexity is required for the transfer of molecules, then we call that process as a transport process. Is it clear to you? And the third important thing about this transport process is again that certain kinds of molecules will require energy. Okay, so when the energy is provided, then the molecules can actually move from lower concentration to higher concentration. That is to say, they go against the concentration gradient. Okay, that is an uphill task. Is it clear to everybody? Then we have two types of transport processes. One is called as the facilitated diffusion. Okay, so it is essentially it is diffusion, but this diffusion is assisted by certain molecules, the transporters, and therefore it is called as facilitated diffusion. Okay, so facilitation of the diffusion will be for two things. One is either to increase the rate of transfer, or it will be to increase the specificity of the molecules. Okay, and since I have used the word diffusion here, okay, it definitely means that this is a process where the molecules are getting transferred from one side of the membrane to the other side along the concentration gradient. Okay, that is to say from high concentration to low concentration. So in that sense, it is similar to simple diffusion, but it is different than simple diffusion because either there is an increased rate of transfer or there is a more specificity of transfer of the molecules. Are you getting this point? So you should be able to differentiate between simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. Both are diffusion. That is, both are going with the concentration gradient, along the concentration gradient, or a downhill process, high concentration to low concentration. Okay, but when I use the word facilitated diffusion, it means that there is certain, you can say certain molecules are there, specialized molecules are there in the membrane, and these molecules are either increasing the rate of transfer or they are increasing the specificity of uptake. Okay, so that is called facilitated diffusion. It is also called as passive transport. Again, so just remember this word transport. Okay, instead of using passive diffusion, I'm using the word passive transport. So the meaning of the word transport is specific, and that is why in the earlier discussion I was saying that I'll try to avoid this the use of the word transport. Okay, as a general word. Okay, it is not a very general word. I use the word movement of molecules, or I use the word transfer of molecules, because that was including everything, all types of movement of the molecules, passive or active or facilitated, everything. Okay, but when I use the term transport, it means that specific transporters are involved and they are increasing the rate of transfer or they are increasing the specificity of the uptake, right? And then the other type of transport phenomenon is called as the active transport, where there is uphill transport. Okay, uphill is what? Against the concentration gradient, that is to say from low concentration to high concentration with the help of energy. Okay, with the use of energy, these molecules are getting transferred or they are actually taken from one side of the membrane to the other side by the use of or by the input of energy. Is it clear to everybody? I hope you can all hear me clearly. and there is no
Yes, sir.
question, no problem. Okay, if there is any question, query, you can ask me. Okay, then coming to the different types of assisting molecules or transporters which help in the movement of molecules by facilitated diffusion or by active transport. Okay, so there are two types of transports which the transporters are carrying out. One is called as facilitated diffusion. Okay, that is a specialized kind of a diffusion process, downhill transfer. Okay, and the other types of transporters are those which can make use of energy. Okay, by with the input of energy, they are able to transport the molecules from one side to the other side of the membrane. Okay, so here we have three different types of transporters. There are carriers, there are channels, and there are pumps. Okay, so when I say use the word pump, it definitely means that the transfer of molecules is uphill, making use of energy from a low concentration to high concentration. Okay, and that process is called as active transport. Okay, so when I say active, it means the use of energy. Okay, energy dependent transfer. Then we have the carriers and the channels. So there is a thin line of difference between the carriers and channels. Both are essentially useful for moving a particular molecule from high concentration to low concentration. Just remember that. Okay, and the carriers are those which have a very high degree of specificity. In fact, they are specific for the different stereoisomers of a particular molecule. Okay, so to that level we have specificity in the movement of molecules, but they have one drawback, you can say, or a limitation. That is, they can transport the molecules at rates which are below the rate of free diffusion. Okay, so what is free diffusion? The meaning of free diffusion is like, you can just imagine that I have a gas somewhere which is trapped up in a bottle or something. And then if the moment I open the bottle, for example, it could be your soda bottle or something. The moment you open the lid of the bottle, then you would hear that fuss kind of a sound, and the gas would come out. And where does the gas go? It will diffuse into the air, isn't it? It will come out into the air and it will get mixed up with the air until the equilibrium is reached, isn't it? So that is called as free diffusion. Like gas molecules are getting mixed up. Okay, that is called as free diffusion. So if you imagine that a biological membrane is something which allows the movement of molecules both ways, okay, from one compartment to the other compartment and the other compartment to this first compartment. Okay, if that movement is allowed to take place as if it is gas molecules getting mixed up in the air. Okay, so that is called as free diffusion, right? Now the thing is, in simple passive diffusion, we just assume that the movement of the molecules or ions is like the gas molecules in the air. Okay, getting freely mixed up. That is called as the free diffusion. Okay, but in the case of carriers, the rate of movement of the molecules is not like simple diffusion, which is like mixing up in the air, mixing gas molecules in the air. Okay, it is not like that, but the rate of movement of the molecules is comparatively much lower when the carriers are present in the membrane. Okay, so what I'm telling you is a little bit contradictory. You might feel that in fact the carriers are not increasing the rate of movement, they are in fact reducing the rate of movement. But this decrease in the rate of movement is actually giving you the advantage of more specificity. If you go to the cinema hall, for example, there is a person who is at the gate. He has a small torch, isn't it? And then he would ask you for the ticket. And if you show him the ticket, he will go through the ticket quickly, and then he will allow you to enter into the cinema hall. Okay, so he's trying to be more specific. He is not allowing any and every person to enter the cinema hall. He will allow only that person who has a valid ticket. Is it clear? And therefore, although the specificity is increasing, that is to say only the people who has paid for the cinema, only they are allowed to enter in. But the limitation here is that because he's checking each and every person's ticket, the rate of movement of the people from outside to the cinema hall, that rate will be slower. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Who has not understood? So carriers are like that. Carriers are checking each and every molecule. They are allowing only specific kinds of molecules to enter through the membrane. But because of that process, the speed of movement, the rate of movement is slower. Okay. And therefore I have written here in blue color here, that is the rate of movement is slower than diffusion. Okay. But nonetheless, the specificity is higher, and therefore that process will allow only particular kinds of molecules to enter the cell and not any and every molecule into the membrane. Okay. And another characteristic of these molecules is that they display saturation kinetics like enzyme. That is, they are, to say they have particular site for binding of that particular molecule. It may, if you call it a substrate, okay, although substrate is not the correct word, the molecule which is going to be transferred through the membrane, that molecule or the solute molecule, okay, there is a particular binding site for that solute molecule on the carrier molecule. And because of that, once that site is occupied, then another molecule cannot enter freely. So only one by one, the molecules will be allowed to go. And that is also one reason why these molecules are responsible for a slower rate of movement of the molecules. Okay, the rate is slow because once the binding sites are all occupied, then further binding of the molecules cannot take place. And therefore only those molecules which are bound to the carrier properly, those molecules will be allowed to enter the membrane. Okay, and that is why we say that there is a saturation kinetics just like enzymes. Okay, and usually these carriers are made up of monomeric proteins. Okay, that is simple single polypeptides are there in these proteins. Okay, carriers. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I
Yes,
think
sir.
I have just 3 to 4 minutes for this lecture to end, and let me just see how much I have to tell you. Okay, so we will join again. Okay, we'll join again immediately. Okay, so the other type of transporters are called as the channel proteins or channels. And here the important property of these channels is that the specificity is lesser compared to the carriers. Okay, and because of that, you can expect that the movement of the molecules will be at a faster rate. Okay, again, you can imagine the situation where the cinema hall, and you have already been checked for your tickets are checked, you are allowed to enter inside, and then there is an interval. So at the time of interval, maybe people go out for having water or something, for some food. And then after the interval, when the people come back, is that person again going to see your tickets? Yes or no? After the interval, when you enter the cinema hall, is that same person going to again ask you for your ticket? Again, the electricity has gone, the power has gone. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you all hear me? Shamin?